Andor Episode 5, The Axe Forgets. Cassian and the rest of the Aldhani rebels continue their final preparations for the big heist the next day. And as expected, this is yet another setup episode, which seems to be the format of Andor. 3 episode arcs, first 2 are setup, while the third is the big payoff. And funny enough, I really found myself enjoying episode 5 despite it being a setup episode. Of course, episodes 1 and 2 were set up as well, but like I said in my last review, I found watching those to be a real drag, despite them being good still. They certainly did have boring moments to them, yet here, not at all. I was invested the entire time and loved taking in every scene. Again, I don't know if this is maybe because I'm more familiar with the characters, there are bigger stakes here, or just the writing is better, who knows. Maybe a little of each, but I did notice that Cassian was a lot more prominent here than before. This is because I feel he really didn't stand out as much in the last 4 episodes. He was kind of just there, if you know what I mean. Sure, his actions stood out, but not so much his personality, and yet here he was one of the main focuses, which I really liked a lot. His interactions with the different members of the Aldhani rebels was interesting, as it's pretty evident that he's the only one there who's the most capable and experienced, either just by how he corrects their mistakes, scolds them for not taking the proper precautions, and just in general the aura and presence he has within the group. I mean, even his speech to the Aldhani rebels about them not using him as an excuse to bail out was perfect. And the crazy thing is, this is only his first rebel mission too, so it's honestly no surprise that once he starts getting himself more involved in the rebellion later on, he'll eventually be able to be promoted to the rank of captain. But he's not the only one who sees character development here, as we get a bit for some of the other Aldhani rebels too. Primarily Skeen, who doesn't trust and really like Cassian all that much, and for most of the episode, there's hostility between the two. But we do get some of his backstory regarding his brother who ended their life because of the Empire, and that's why he hates them now. There's also some neat scenes of Lieutenant Gorn going about his day as an Imperial officer at the armory, and well, it's always neat to see scenes like these from the Imperial point of view. Especially moments like one Imperial talking down about the Aldhani and Gorn having to reluctantly agree with him in order to not blow his cover, or 2 Imperials basically begging Gorn for them not to miss the Eye of Aldhani's ceremony, as that's one and only good reason about being stationed on Aldhani, with of course Gorn manipulating them at the same time for them to want to be on the upper level rather than in the underground, as that will make the rebels' heist that much easier. It's subtle little stuff like this, but awesome nonetheless. Meanwhile, on Coruscant, we're shown glimpses of several different stories happening. Mon Mothma's family life, for example, which I'm sure isn't something she had envisioned when she was younger, because it's not all that great. Her daughter has turned against her, and her husband is just a horrible person. Plus, add to the fact that she's constantly surrounded by spies and people who just don't care about the suffering of others, and, well, you can't help but feel sorry for her. Which makes me wonder on when she'll have her breaking point, or if we'll have to wait until the Gorman massacre for that. Then there's also Syril and him having to deal with his current unemployment status and his mom. Now, after getting to see his home life, his glorified love of the clone troopers, and how he wanted to leave his home in order to prove that he can make something of himself, not only to himself, but also to his mother, then it makes a lot of sense on why he's such an overachiever. I was right before, Syril isn't evil at all. He's just someone who wants to prove that he can do good in the world and wants to do his job the best he can. Like, you know, not casually brushing off the murders of his coworkers and letting a dangerous criminal go scot-free. But of course, he got in way over his head dealing with people he totally underestimated. We also catch glimpses of Deidre trying to figure out the pattern to all of the rebel attacks. And just like Cyril, she's not evil like the other Imperials and is only trying to do her job in what she thinks is right. Again, it's all about perspective, and she seems genuinely concerned about the growing rebellion. And it's only because of everyone else's personal goals that she's being held back from really doing that said job. If anything, I could really see both Deidre and Cyril maybe defecting to the rebellion later on if their paths continue this way. That is, if no unexpected twists arise. Finally, there's Luthen, who's still a man of mystery and leaves us guessing on what his true motivations are. We get another peek at his antique shop and see a few more neat Easter eggs like a pair of oversized Jedi and Sith holocrons on a shelf right behind him. But that's not the crazy thing, because next to those are some even cooler Easter eggs, which are the Sankara stones from the Temple of Doom. I guess Luthen must be a pretty big Indiana Jones fan, eh? Overall, I quite liked episode 5. Sure, it had absolutely no action in it, but considering it's yet another setup episode, I really wasn't expecting any. Instead, we got a lot of great character development and good writing that made up for all of that. Yeah, don't get me wrong, action is great too, but when you've got dialogue here which has more tension than even most TV shows' action scenes, then I really can't complain. That said, I can also understand how not everyone might feel the same way as I do about this. Some may have found this episode dull and boring, which is fair, but I think it's needed in order to make next week's heist even more impactful, because there's no doubt it's gonna be an explosive one with plenty of deaths. So yeah, action is coming, definitely, but even then it's not gonna have anything to do with the Force or the Jedi, because this show just isn't about that, nor should it be. After all, as I've always said, we each have something different that connects us to Star Wars and makes us love it. For some, it's the crazy action scenes, space wizards, and so on. But for me, it's always been about the military aspect, and, well, considering this episode felt like something more out of a World War II show than your average Star Wars Disney Plus show, then that's absolutely right up my alley. If anything, Andor reminds me a lot of, say, an HBO series, where you get a lot of slow but excellent build-up with plenty of character development in between leading up to something big. And during that whole time, you see the viewpoints of everyone too, not just the good, but the baddies too. And this element I think really works well with Andor. We've needed a Star Wars show like this for quite some time, and thankfully we got it here. So yeah, I'm glad to finally have a Star Wars show feel more so like a Game of Thrones than say a Saturday morning cartoon like DuckTales. Not to say that one is more superior over the other, but having variety is a good thing. Because if everything was the same, then well, that would get real boring real quick. And that was my take on this episode of Andor. Let me know what you all thought about the episode in the comments below, and if you haven't already, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you on the next one.